Checks play. Let's do this.
And we are 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hey, I'm Bruce Harris. Good morning.
Aloha, I'm Hina Reed.
Hello, I'm Miguel Mora, and welcome to Checks Play.
To check, play, to check,
I didn't
play.
even dance this time.
You can't help yourself. You're tapping your feet. I know you are. You are. So I'm done. I'm done with all you guys come on here and you're just trying to take over my dance. It's something. Miguel and Hina, good to see you both this morning. You feeling good?
It's a pleasure.
You're looking good.
It's been a great ride lately. So
I bet it has. You're going on vacation tomorrow, by the way, huh?
I know. I am off to the Hawaiian Islands.
When's the last time you've been on vacation?
It's been over 2 years. Actually, 3 years. It's been 3 years.
That's pretty much the track of my life has been, the same because, you work. I'm talking about, I have time off, but I'm talking about a vacation.
Yeah, same.
I've been on vacation for the last 2 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think that's called retirement.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah.
I see myself like in 2 years. I should be done.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'll never be done.
I don't know. I always say that, and it's like,
I can't do it. I came over in this country on a small raft and surrounded by sharks with only a penny in my pocket. Worked
At least
hard.
you had a raft.
Worked very hard all my life. So
I had a canoe.
did you?
No,
So
just kidding.
So
or a catamaran, I should say.
So we did some things. You recently went to the gaming conference, the game protection conference. That was exciting for you. Did you see anything new there that's going to be coming out that you think was going to be sort of the next best thing?
I did. There is these. Well, first of all of the vendors in regards to the games, like LTD Table Designs, they had some really amazing layouts. And then Sensen was awesome, and then Rocket Pocket, and then there was just so many good things.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing that kind of set out for me was a couple of kids. They were still taking their finals. And at UCLA, still taking their finals that day during the conference in that week. So what they would do is they would alternate. One would be in the booth while the other one was taking his final, or she was taking her final.
Okay.
But they came out with AI, some intelligence in regards to that, camera and surveillance. And Paul actually, kind of sat with them and
Paul Milo.
And gave them the opportunity to present. So I'm, you always kind of root for those, little underdogs, right? But there were so many products and vendors that it was really, really a successful conference. I feel for the vendors as well, not just for the, the attendees, but I think the vendors as well. But what's coming up too? Oh my God.
And that's Native. It sounds like it's a Native American thing.
It is. It's the Oklahoma Indian Gaming Association.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
That's coming up in August.
A lot of casinos in Oklahoma, Native American, right? Yeah. How many? About was it over 50?
It's pretty large. And they have little small ones. If you even add the ones in the travel plazas, where there's just about 15 or 20 games, and some of them actually have, even up to 50. So it's pretty amazing how many casinos are sitting out there.
And when is that, Hina?
That is August 9th to the 11th.
Are you going to be there?
I am.
Okay.
We may have to do a remote
yeah.
podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Might want to set that up.
Yeah. Well, today we're gonna have a wonderful guest today. Something that usually is very important in the gaming industry, but very few people know about it and talk about it. It's something that takes part at the beginning of any casino, which is the design of it. Somebody's got to come in and design the structure, design the gaming floor, and that is a tedious job, but it's something that it takes a lot of precision and a lot of style to do right. So today we have somebody who's very versed in this with a lot of experience. Our good friend Paul Heretakis, he's going to be with us shortly.
Very excited.
We'll be able to ask him questions about how he does it and then what entails his job as a casino designer.
Yes, I'm very excited. In fact, he is the owner and vice president of Westar Architecture in Las Vegas, Nevada. They are a global operation, design properties as far as Asia and in Europe. Very well known for their properties in Atlantic City, Las Vegas, and we're going to get to talk with him about that today. He's here. He's coming in. So this is going to be a great conversation. This is Mr. Paul Heretakis of Westar Architectural Design in Las Vegas, Nevada. Paul Heretakis, good morning.
Good morning. How are you all?
Oh, as I always say, I am getting younger every single day.
You're the only one.
Welcome.
How you doing? Paul. Good to see you.
Thank you. Good to see you as well. Yes, sir.
Paul, thanks for being with us today. Thanks for getting up early to hang out with us and have a conversation. So tell us, you guys have been everywhere. So how many properties have you built all over the country, all over the world?
I've worked in almost all of them in Las Vegas, Atlantic City as well, all across the country.
Wow.
Have an office in Macau, so we worked on those properties, which was a wonderful experience. Gosh, I've been to Georgia, the former Russian Republic.
Really?
South Korea, the Philippines, Vietnam, all over the place, working on casinos.
We were just having a conversation that you are, Paul, let me just tell you, since we started this, and Miguel will tell you, Hina, more new to the permanent cast, but she's always been here as a guest host with us. We've been trying to find our space in this podcast area because it's just something that we thought we should do as a media to share our experiences and to bring people on with diverse experiences. And so this is great for us because you are the first guest who has your space is primarily in the design architectural area. And we normally have been focusing on the gaming floor, slots, slot machines, the cage, the table games. So in that honor, we were knowing that you were going to be here. We were up all night last night. We had a meeting. Okay. No, because we take this so seriously, and so we had this meeting last night, and we were challenging ourselves, and we wanted to impress you. So we figured, Hina came up with this idea. She says, "Hey, why don't we all try to design a property, and then have you judge what we come up with?" So just to get this started, would you mind, guys? Would you guys agree? Are you ready to show them what we came up with?
Absolutely. Go for it.
Okay. Excellent.
Would you mind, Paul, to be the judge?
Absolutely.
and don't worry, you're not going to hurt my feelings, okay? Because I've never done this before. But this is my design here. I'm just going to show you. This was mine. This was my design. I came up with here. And what did you say?
That's the funniest thing because that's architect is Frank Gehry. And
no, he stole it from me. Wait. This is. Let me. You can describe it after I describe it here. Okay, let me describe it. On the bottom right here, you'll see I put a flux capacitor type of wall unit there, and right in the middle there, that column I made it. It's a composite. It's a hydro liquefactor type of composite. and I put another flux capacitor on the top there. So what's your idea about that? What do you think?
I think it looks great. I love it. I love it. Come on, I got to tell a quick story.
Okay, go ahead.
So way back when, and you two would be familiar with this coming from Atlantic City back around that time, when they opened up the site that eventually became Borgata. Well, Wynn had it originally.
Okay.
This is Frank Gary's, the architect that designed this, helped you design this building, excuse me.
Thank you.
So he's got a bit of a reputation for not being the easiest gentleman to work with, and he's kind of arrogant and difficult. So he worked with Steve Wynn in the master planning, and that only lasted for a few months until Wynn got rid of him. He was never going to listen to Wynn on how to design and operate, design a casino. So that was a short-lived marriage.
So is that like the norm with you guys are artists, right? You consider yourself an artist?
Absolutely.
Sure.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So is that like artists are temperamental kind of things that they say? Is that like the norm, or is he, an outlier, or what?
No, he goes above and beyond. I need money, so I'm pretty easy to get along with. I'd like to tell you that I run a business, so I'm trying to make a living. That's kind of the number one goal. But it's just working with a lot of great people like you all, learning a lot about the business operations and how a casino functions. That's really been the best part of it. So when we work on a project, we're halfway there with your team and what needs to be done. Right. So that aspect of it is always a lot of fun, and it's all about the customer, as you know.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Hina, you ready to show yours?
Yes.
Okay.
Ready?
You want to explain? You have to. You got to.
Did you put it on
there? You can you can you describe it for us?
Yeah, because I'm from Tahiti, I wanted to have the Polynesian
nice
style.
Job.
So
nice.
That kind of almost looks like our boats when we go out fishing, very similar to Moana.
Looks like a seashell.
Yeah, so it's very similar to Moana. What do you think?
I love it. It. And the palm trees, I'm seeing that in Vegas already. Right.
See, so I think it was inspired definitely from the Princess Moana from Disney. So I think that's very creative on my part.
It is very nice.
Thank you very much.
Hina, it looked like you didn't put much time into this. You did maybe like 30 minutes into this or something.
Are you kidding me? Do you know how intricate that has to be to make sure that all that
have to do a lot of math calculations.
Wind,
I don't know.
Right? Wind can go through their air, everything. Come on now.
Okay. Now, so Miguel has Paul, I got to tell you, and he'll explain more about it, but he had an advantage over us. Miguel actually went to college for architecture. And so when we had this Hina, you didn't know that. So it was a little unfair. And I was waiting for Miguel to disclose it. He never said a thing, but he
I know, he was very quiet about it.
He thought I forgot about it.
It's been so long. It's been so long ago.
So this is.
Wow.
There you go.
Jeez.
The Twin Towers reach into the sky.
Yeah, tell us about this, Miguel. Yeah, where'd this come from?
Well, it's a nice concept. You want to reach for the sky, make something different, something that would add beauty to the environment and environmentally sane.
Very nice.
Yeah.
So, Paul, what do you think? Who's the winner?
I'm going to take you all. I need some bodies in my office. You guys all did a great job on it. I could use all of you.
Good answer, Paul. Good answer.
All right. Well, thanks for being a good sport and playing along with us. But the first one, when you said was the gentleman that worked with Steve Wynn for a short time, was that building, did that ever come into an existence?
No, he had gotten rid of him a couple of months into the process just because he wouldn't listen to how a casino lays out. Most of the bigger stuff, how people enter the property, what you need. He just wanted to do his own thing, and that's what Frank Gehry is mostly known for, is just doing his own thing. And that might work in a museum environment and things like that. But casinos are very, very specific in how they lay out and how they function. Very specific, as you all know.
That is one of the problems that I've seen in some properties, Paul, that they get a renowned architect to do a property and to do the building, and they do all the work, including the casino. It doesn't work like that, because I've been into properties and very much recently here at the Hard Rock where Bruce and I worked, that they have these huge lamps, I mean, hanging from the ceiling. And it was so tedious for the surveillance people to place the camera so they could see the games. So when time came to do a little remodeling, the first thing that I did was take away those lamps from there. And everybody was so happy about it because it looks beautiful. Oh, yes, it'll look wonderful. It looks great, but it's a function. Is it going to add to the operation or is it going to hamper the operation in some way? So that's why when I get into a project and they tell me, oh, so and so, like a Paul Heretakis is doing it, or Stillman or somebody else that are used to doing casinos, then I'm happy about it because I know that they're going to take the time to look at every little corner of the property and make it functional for the operation and not just nice and glitzy. Because when a customer walks in the first time, he's going to take a look around. Yeah, beautiful place. Once he sits down at that table, he forgot everything he saw, and he'll be coming for the next 20 years. And you ask him, what's on top of your head? The guy won't know.
Yeah. I agree with that. And I feel the same way. I'm involved with a lot of different projects, and sometimes I lose them to my competition. And if certain people, like you say, get them, I'm happy because then I know the casino is going to be designed properly. It's going to function correctly. The operations will be right on, and the casino will be successful, which we all want our industry to be successful. When you do get some new people in there, things they don't work out well. We actually, it's funny enough, we do a lot of billion-dollar projects over in Asia, and they'll actually bring us on to do the master planning with the famous architects that you're saying on how to approach the property, how to service it, how the customers are getting separated by wealth and spend and amenities and all of those things. So there we are in a room of very, very famous architects. And we're saying, well, let's try to arrange it this way. Let's try to put the hotels here. And it's great. It's just a great process. I've always loved the industry right from the start. The first time I walked into casinos in Atlantic City, that was it for me. I was bitten.
I have a question for you. I had the opportunity to redesign and do a brand new high limit room at Caesar's Palace when I was the director of slots. I worked with an architect and bless their hearts, right? However, when we went through everything and everything was done, and I said, okay, so we had it planned, and here comes construction, and here comes the tear down and the rebuild. And when I walked in, I went, so there's something missing here. And they said, the man trap between us, the cage and high limit. And they went, is that necessary?
Indeed.
Yes, especially in high limit. Is that a high costly mistake? And is that something that
interesting?
You say, okay, and does that have to be shared with that costly mistake, or is that, it is our fault and we will do it. We will get it.
That's a little weird that it got that far to being built and nobody picked that up. Yeah. Usually I know a few of you are marketing and operations and you've done a lot inside the casino. So I certainly cannot run a casino, but I've been around folks like yourselves for a long time. So I do have a fairly good understanding of what you need to do and what needs to be done. And then going a little bit further is the whole marketing and who your customer is. Whenever we design a space, we're of course thinking about operations, decoration, and how that does affect operations, the overall look of the room. But always the first questions about who's the customer, who are they, what's their value, how do they want to use this space, what do they like, do they want food brought to their tables, do they want a little area with food, what is going to make their life the best, what's the competition doing, how are we going to differentiate ourselves. And those are the conversations that I love to have with marketing people and operations. And then we actually know exactly who we're designing this room for and what needs to be done. After that, we can argue all day long whether it should be blue or red or green. Right. And like you say, doing cages and walls and things like that, you got to get them right in the beginning. You can't be spending money doing it twice, ripping it out. That's not going to get us anywhere.
Well, the other thing too is I am so amazed at how what we think is brick or what we think are steel beams and things in a way. You go, oh yeah, that's just false wood. Or that, that's wallpaper. That's not brick. Get out. I am amazed at that. But do you find that the new technology and things help you or assist you in enhancing some of the features that you once had to take a lot longer to build?
It works in a lot of different ways. Your business is the same thing. Your games have evolved. When we all started out, the boxes were very small. Now they're enormous, 9, 10 foot tall machines, gaming slot machines. I can't even fit them sometimes in rooms. They're so tall. A lot of things like that change over time. As far as technology for me, it helps tool. It's just a tool. But I love the materials, like you say, and that's the best stuff is what's coming out new, what is new and different that I could use and looks great, and has that great, sparkle and reflectivity that you want to see inside of a casino. That's another thing. Casinos can vary in their look greatly. You've all worked at many, many properties, but if you walk in and it's visually stimulating, it really just feels great. And it can make up at times on how crowded the casino looks just because there's so much going on versus other casinos that just have a dead feel, and you can throw 1,000 people in there and they're just never going to feel like they're fun. Hard Rock obviously does that very successfully. They're fun places. The music's a little bit louder. You walk in there and you feel lucky and you just want to go at it and just have a good time.
You guys ever run into the people who are the best football players, or the person that never played football, the best race car driver, and to tell you how to drive doesn't have a license, whatever? And so, when I work in some of these properties, why didn't they do this way? Why didn't they do that this way? Why is that like that? Well, they should have did this. I can't work in this place because they did it like this. And, so architecture would have to be one of those areas where it's so personal, and how somebody was raised in the kind of house that they were raised in or something, which makes them comfortable. So you're constantly changing things, I'm sure.
Yeah, that happens all the time. But it is very hard because everybody has different opinions. When I think it's going too far off course, I'll try to correct it. Hey, this is something that Steve Wynn does. It's very successful.
You're blaming on somebody else. So but you're a New Yorker, Paul. You should say, man, shut the hold on, don't you? Just sit your ass in there. So
I'll
diplomatic.
Try that next time. But I always speak in terms of how are we going to make this successful? How are we going to meet your expectations of an ROI? And everything revolves around that. It was a great conversation I had many years ago. I was interviewing for a project, and the guy says, "What's your favorite project?" And I was like, "Hey, I was kind of proud of this one." He goes, That one doesn't make any money. How could you be proud of that?"
Yeah.
I said, "Okay, never mind. I was very proud of the proud of the Bellagio poker room I did. It makes a ton of money. It's a safe bet." And it was interesting from that perspective, because I'm working for a businessman wants to make money.
Yeah.
That's it. Many of them let us have a little wider berth and will follow us and be interested in the ideas we're giving them. Others have their own opinion. But when it comes to mistakes that you think are going to be a little drastic, I try to push back a little bit harder. I really do. And I try to get some of the people in your position as well to help me out with that and try to get you on board as well.
Well, we did that. We were working on a project in South America together briefly. We won't say the name of it because it's still pending out there. But we had that relationship where dynamically it was great because you had the answers before we can ask many times, because of your experience.
I knew where you guys were always coming from. And, that project was interesting because it was in South America. So I was a little shy on experience there as far as the specific customers. And as you know, around the world, the customers vary. So I kept asking you guys a lot of questions on what they liked, what they preferred, how do they prefer to gamble? Are they more public or private? A lot of questions like that. And that really helps us get on the same page, understanding who we're designing to, so we can be successful. And those are all my first questions before I even start to think about how to make it pretty or anything else. You gotta make sure it works for the customer you're trying to attract.
That's great. That's what I love about just in the casino industry alone, is when somebody sits and talks with you and gets to know you and gets to know the environment and the people and the surroundings, because that is a part of being successful, is getting to know what is here and then coming up with a great new design or a new concept, right? So that we're not just stuck in the same, where all the casinos will look exactly the same, because we all have spots, right? We all have table games, we all have restaurants and things, but what will set us apart when we walk into Caesar's Palace, I wanted everybody to go, oh my God, right? And, this is the Caesars, with Cleopatra and, Caesars walking through, right? And then when you go into an MGM, or when you go into a Venetian or a Palazzo or a Wynn, building, you just know that's the style. But for you to sit down and talk with everyone, that makes a huge difference. Huge.
Did you design this right here, Paul?
Yes, I did. This was for a project in the Philippines that we were hoping was going to go through in the Entertainment City District there in Manila. But unfortunately, it fell apart at the end.
But so when you do these, and I guess there's probably a cross between both methods. So is this mostly done with computer apps and so forth, or is this something you do with a pencil and a sketching board or something?
This is something I would sketch up a little bit of, and then the people working the computer programs, which again are way too advanced for me as well, put it into the computer and make it three-dimensional, really make it look great. But some things like this the idea will start with us and myself, and then we'll try to enhance it with the computer programs, like you mentioned, that could really do a nice job on that, make it look great.
Wow, this is beautiful.
Beautiful. You also were in Vietnam. Did you design one of the casinos there?
Yeah, we worked on the Hoi An Casino for Sun City, and that was a project that had a lot of different partners, hotel partners, retail partners. So it was a matter of balancing how it lays out, and we were always talking about closer relationships with hotel rooms to casinos and everything else, and they're sometimes have an idea of more resort-like, and they don't want that. So that's always a balance. But you mentioned something great about Hard Rock, Venetian, Caesars. What is the essence of what this property wants to be? How do I differentiate it, especially in a market like Las Vegas or some other markets that are so competitive? How do I how do I deliver something to market that's new and different? But everything has to have a heart and soul. And I think when you think of those casinos, the three that you mentioned, Wynn, they just have a great essence to them. It hits you the minute you walk through the door, and the storyline and what you're trying to do is always very cohesive, and the property can be very successful. The ones that don't have that clear vision of what they want to be tend not to create a final product as something that you want to go in, or something that is memorable, or something that is competitive with the competition. And that's where it shows. I have a great story. When I was over in Asia, we worked for a billionaire Chinese client. And, billionaire, exquisite taste, loves the finest things in life. Well, we were redesigning a lot of his old rooms, gaming rooms that were really not successful. So he would go around the room, we'd have our renderings up, he'd look at them, he'd kind of not crazy about them. And then he'd go from person to person, marketing, operations, gaming. Do you like what is here? Is this what we should be building? And every one of them, because, we work on it a long time with that level of the employees, they're like, yes, this is what our client likes. This is what their expectations are. We've added a few things here to make it better than the competition. And then he would go, okay, I see that my team likes this. He goes, this is not my taste. I do not like any of this, but he's not a gambler. He's a more sophisticated, billionaire type of gentleman. And he goes, this is nothing like I would ever want in anything personal of mine. But he goes, if this is what my clients like, and this is what they want, let's do it. And that was always great because we were all on the same page. We knew what the customer wanted, and these rooms ended up being extremely successful. We created new, high-end brands for mass, high-end brands for junkets, and everything was very successful, and he loved it. And because again, his focus was making money. It wasn't creating beautiful spaces, and he preferred that his customers did it because he did that the first time around.
Well, he's a leader. Yeah. He's a leader. That's why he's successful, because he's a leader, not just, hey, do it this way because this is my way is the best way.
Yeah, he relied on the people who were doing the everyday operations and talking to every single solitary customer, and they know their customers. I love that. I mean, some of the executives that I worked with at MGM, and Bruce, you would know that they too would do the exact same thing. Especially if the brand new executive would come on board, they didn't take them to their directors and their management team. They took them behind the back of that house and the frontline employees and said, if you ever want to know anything about MGM or about any of our customers, these are the ones that you need to speak with, because they are the ones that know. Bill Hornbuckle and Danny Wade and Terry Lanny, those along with Joe Starr and Michael Bonactor, I'm telling you, Mark Giuliano, John Groom, they all went and talked to all of us. And it wasn't just a director or a senior vice president. They walked through the rooms, through the entire casino and say, hey, Bruce, how is your son doing? Or how is your daughter doing? And you love that.
But they also knew that level of executive was so hands-on with the customer and knew everything. And you mentioned Terry Lanny. He was absolutely wonderful. And I was working on a project, and I didn't think the decisions being made were the best decisions. And but I did what I was told. I pushed back a little bit, ultimately did what I told. But it was a hotel room. There was a lot of cleanability issues. There was a lot of finishes that would have gotten destroyed. There was just a lot of things in there that didn't make sense in a casino environment, which has such high occupancy. So I wasn't crazy about it, but everybody loved it, kept going up the ladder. Everybody was loving it. And boy, oh boy, we met with Terry. He picked that thing apart, one piece by another. And of course, I took the brunt of it because, at that point, all you executives kind of leave me out. You all go to the wall, and I'm sitting in the middle of the room all by myself. Right. And it was great, though. He really, everything that I would have thought that was not a great idea, he picked up on every single thing. And it was fabulous. And obviously, when I met him, gosh, he must have been a 35, 40-year veteran of the industry. There was nothing new that I was going to show him that he hasn't seen or done. It was great. Right. Great guy.
And you guys know Jim Allen, at the floor, if there's a crack in the marble or something, and if the grouting wasn't clean.
Yeah. So. He did not like the color of the unit, and he went, get it out right now. And we had just done, 2 days solid of, 16 hours, and we'll go to lunch and we'll come back. But and we did have them redone, and it was, but he was right, because even when I saw it, I went, really? Okay, right? But Steve Wynn did the same thing. When he saw the units, he went, no, I need them red to match, the colors. I said, if we do the lights red, here's what's going to happen, right? They said, what Mr. Wynn wants. However, I get what Mr. Wynn wants. Did anybody go back to him and say, if these are red in color, the lights, it means that unit is down. And, so every customer service wise, you guys will not be at your best. And I know him. He wants customer service, but he also wants the look and feel.
I think I remember something like that in Tampa. Hard Rock, when Jim Allen or something. I think the story goes, now I probably have it wrong, but who cares? It's my story. So, but I think he went to the front desk and then turned around, and he felt that the columns were too close to the front desk. And it took, I don't know how many weeks or a month or so, and they redid the whole lobby because of that. Something like that. I'm sure you have heard many stories like that, Paul.
Yeah, and Jim's got a great team. He's always got a real veteran team, and those are the best projects to me when you have a veteran team like that. It's really funny about changing something out. So Wynn, I believe, cost $2 billion or $4 billion when it opened. 4 billion, right? I believe Wynn
Wynn?
cost 4 billion. Yeah.
Okay.
When he opened it up, it was like a $4 billion property. So he had an Italian restaurant in there that was, had a lot of theming toward Ferraris, the car Ferraris, the engines and everything else.
Right.
So it just was not successful from day one. So he rips out the entire restaurant, which to many people seems obscene and crazy. And how could you do that? But what does that cost? $2 million? $3 million to change a restaurant, get it to function right. You just spent $4 billion. It's in the bigger picture of it.
Relative.
Why would you have something that is not performing well in a property of such expense and grandeur? Let's just redo it. You missed it. Bad. Sorry it happened, but let's just fix it and move on. And the great ones know that. The great ones know when everything needs to make money. Everything needs to be operating well, and it all works as one large, piece of the puzzle. But you got to make sure it's all there and what you want. You guys have very tight ROIs and everything else, and everything needs to perform. And if you have to take a step backwards, you take a step backwards.
Aside from taking the traffic, the foot traffic, the placing of the equipment, the machines, the tables and all that, do you also take into consideration the culture of that country when designing a place and make it part of the look and feel of the place? Is that something that you, as the designer, talk about with the project, the owner or the manager of the company, and tell them we should go this way, or is that something that they bring out to you?
No, that was something we were expected to know when we were designing in Macau. A lot of the culture, a lot of the feng shui, a lot of the symbolism, good fortune, long life, good wealth, all of those things were things that we needed to know about. And we had to bring that to the table. So when we designed something, I would have a light fixture that look like spaghetti, long life. I would use gold leaf or a green onyx, which would look like jade. And you kept talking about things of good wealth and rooms that a customer would go into and feel very, very comfortable and felt that the room was customized toward them. And then, a few of us worked together in South America. And I kept asking you guys over and over, what is there symbolism? Is there things that I need to know about the various customers? These countries in South America are a little on the small side. I could have 4 or 5 people in a room from different countries. What does that mean? What is it going to do? How is that going to impact what we're designing? So a lot of that stuff is extremely relevant and extremely important. In America, not so much, but in China, if they feel, if I use white marble on the wall, they would think it's a funeral, and they would never want to go in there. So there was a lot of little things like that. We had a lot of Chinese employees in our office, so I'd always show it to them. Hey, is something here, make sense, or is this bad? Is this good luck? Is it bad luck? And we would review that stuff quite a bit before we got to the next level with the clients.
Have you done anything in Singapore?
We actually did a little bit of concept work, but it never came through. But Hina, it's real interesting here in America. And if you all were in the room, I know the head casino executive in the room would ask you your opinion, and you guys are just going to belt it out first shot. Well, when I worked in Macau, Grant Bowie, New Zealand gentleman, he would look at it and he had his own opinions on it. But then he would bring in staff like yourself, but full on Chinese staff. And you had to ask them 3 times. And if you didn't ask them 3 times, you'd never get the right answer. So, hey, what do you guys think of Paul's work? Oh, it looks very nice. We like it. Okay, so what do you guys think? Did Paul do nice here? Well, yeah, it looks pretty good. And then finally on the 3rd time, they'd say, Grant would say once again, so what do you think about this? And they would go, well, we have a little bit of issue with this. The symbolism on it might not be right, or we have a little bit of an issue on that. But it was funny with you'd all give your opinions first shot out, no problem. You're very strong and opinionated, but they were, you had to kind of pry it out of them. And he knew.
That's a lesson.
3 times.
That's a lesson in itself, because in my career, I can and you guys could probably relate to this, Hina and Miguel. Maybe not, because just the way I was brought up, and rather than not being a yes guy, I was not a nothing guy. I just didn't voice my opinion to be on the safe side, because it was such a privileged position to be in the industry, first of all. But as special as it was and privileged as it was, I certainly wasn't going to say anything to rock the boat and to give my opinion. And I don't know, Hina or Miguel, did you ever feel that you coming up that you you would rather not say rather than give your opinion in those kind of situations, maybe about design or the way something is done in those ways?
No, myself, if I was asked a question of how I felt or how I like something, I always answer, like objectively, I would say, it's more functional this way. If I felt that there was something different that could be done, but then again, I knew that it wasn't going to be my opinion. Will probably
change.
Wouldn't change anything. But since I was asked, I would give him the answer. If I wasn't asked, I felt like you. I said, well, who the hell am I to tell this people what to do? They're the big bosses.
And some people
the money is
without being asked, they have something to say. But but there's a difference. I guess the key thing here, and this once again goes back to our listening audience, and we're talking about architecture, but this is about getting something out of this conversation. And if it's something that could be learned out of this, and the key thing that you said, Miguel, is you would give it objectively, is knowing how to give it, knowing how to give that opinion, rather than saying this shit ain't that's crazy, that's whack, or something. I'm just using that as an example to give another extreme, rather than saying, well, as Paul used the example, well, it's something that Steve Wynn had in one of his visions. And that, and out of several conversations with Steve, it seems like this was really presenting his ideas and so forth. So it's good to give your opinion out there, folks. And if you're coming up in the industry, but know how to give it. Know when to give it.
That's the key. Paul, do you find yourself when you do meet with us with the executives and things very similar to what happened with Terry, that all the executives are saying yes, 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 because they didn't want to say no, 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 because I have been in meetings with Terry and Bill Hornbrook and Corey, and where I have seen everyone go, oh yes, and here's me going, I was the only no girl in that entire meeting. They go, wow, he goes, is that your answer? And I said, yes. And he goes, tell me why. And I would tell him, and he went, she's right. We're gonna go, and shame on everybody else for being the yes person. Do you find that could there be a balance for you to help you so that you don't end up going, well, you just took the brunt of it from Terry, right? Yeah,
it's really hard. Some organizations are run better than others. Leadership, you mentioned, experience in the room. I would always try to have one of the executives on my side, and we'd have a lot of those conversations about what the right thing to do is operationally, whatever, marketing. And so if and when something was questioned, we had a very good reason why we were doing it. And I don't mind if you change anything I do, but I'm going to tell you why I did it. Hey, I don't like green. Well, I could take green out, but then the balance is going to be off. So I might have to replace it with a different color. Or, hey, those tables are terrible. We need to relay it out. Well, I did work with your gaming people on that layout, and we did find that to be the best. So to me, I'm one leg of the table. I'm design. I'll make it look great. I need marketing in there to tell me how they're going to sell it. I need operations in there to tell me how they're going to